On this episode of the World of CONCACAF podcast, we go to St. Martin, the French one, not that other one, the French one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the World of CONCACAF podcast. I'm Eric Schmitz,
I'm Jonathan Sleep.
And I'm Donald Wine.
and we're excited to get back to another CONCACAF Laser Focus episode, where we're going to dive in on one of the many beautiful nations of CONCACAF. And this one is a unique one. We actually already covered the Dutch half of this island, but now it's time to focus on the French half of Saint Martin. Um, guys, want to just get right into it?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is this is going to be one of the countries that we've all been to and not been to together.
Yeah,
I have not been to the French side.
Oh, you
Oh,
haven't
you
been to
have.
the
Only done
French
the Dutch side. Yeah.
Gotcha. Damn it. I was going to say that was going to be an interesting one if we'd all been there and not been at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
At
high
least
five.
two of us not been together.
Yeah, I was gonna say high five, Jonathan. We've both been there.
I will
Um,
say I have a buddy that lives on the Dutch side. He just bought a house there. And I think Eric, it was right when you were going down there that he was moving in. So I was like, okay, next time I'm just gonna pick something random and go down there, and then I can just like drive over to the French side from there. Because I think I've been to the Dutch side like 10 times and just never gotten in a car and gone around the island. So
yeah,
really excited to dive into this one.
yeah. So we will. Let's just kind of go over like the country history, and then we'll dip more into like what it's actually like there. Jonathan and I can talk about our experiences there. Really excited to talk about it. It was great. So Donald, let's get started on Saint Martin. How did it become half an island in French?
Yeah, let's go all the way back. It's the collectivity of Saint Martin. That's the official name. It is an overseas arrondissement of France. It is on obviously the north side of the island of Saint Martin, and it was obviously it started off by being inhabited by Aborigines people for many centuries, going back as far as 2000 BC. And you had a couple of indigenous populations that settled there in 800. The Arawak was there between 800 and 300 BC. They then were displaced in 1300 by the Kalinago people. Now, this guy named Columbus arrived in 1493.
That guy
And
sucks.
well, the funny thing is that
The Jack Warner of the 1400s.
well, at least in this case, the way that Saint Martin became Saint Martin is actually kind of funny. He arrived in 1493. He arrived on the country of Nevis, Saint Kitts and Nevis, and he named Nevis Saint Martin because he celebrated the feast day of Saint Martin there. But when they went back and drew all the maps, they had all these little islands that they were trying to figure out what they had named, and the name was switched around to this island. So Saint Martin, the island that we know of, was not the Saint Martin that Columbus saw. He saw and discovered it, but he did not name it this. It was a typo on a map that led to Saint Martin being Saint Martin. I think that's kind of funny. It was originally obviously a Spanish colony because the Italian Columbus claimed it on behalf of Spain. But the French and Dutch eventually settled there. First, the Dutch in the early 1600s. They started a salt mining business on the south side of the island. 2 years later, the Spanish drove out the Dutch. The two nations were fighting in the 80 Years' War. That war ended in 1648, and the Spanish then just said, we don't need St. Martin anymore. So they left, and the Dutch resettled on the south side of the island. The French took the north, and of course, in most of these, you say, okay, French, Dutch, insert two European countries that are trying to colonize an island on the same spot at the same time, they fighting. But instead, the French and Dutch said, you know what? let's just talk about it. And so they had a discussion, and then they signed the Treaty of Concordia, which officially split the island in two. Now, there were some slaves on the island, obviously, that they brought over from Africa. The French did, but the French abolished slavery in 1848. The Dutch did not do so. And so slaves that were on the Dutch side of the island realized that, oh, I just got to go to the other side of the island and we're free. So they were started to do that in droves. And about 15 years later, the Dutch decided, hey, we should get rid of slavery too because this is not working out for us. So France politically merged St. Martin into Guadeloupe's colony, and they kind of had a colony that was Guadeloupe and St. Martin, and they remained linked they remained linked through their economy until 2007, when and geographically and politically, when France split off St. Martin into its own overseas arrondissement, its overseas department. Now, there were to kind of cap off the history of stuff. The one thing about St. Martin is that for the most part, it had been relatively free from natural disasters. There's no volcanoes, didn't really get hit hard by hurricanes, but there have been two in the last 30 years that have done some damage to the island. Hurricane Luis in 1995 claimed 12 lives on the island, and then Hurricane Irma in 2017 absolutely destroyed the island, absolutely decimated both sides. But Emmanuel Macron, who was the French president, visited the island and realized that, hey, we evacuated a bunch of these people, but we didn't evacuate the natives. We didn't evacuate the locals. We just evacuated tourists and French people who were from France, from the mainland. And we really forgot about the rest of the people when this hurricane happened. So they pledged, hey, we need to fix this. We need to fix this right now. So they pledged immediate relief, and the island's tourism and industry was back up and running less than a year later. So I thought that was an interesting note. In St. Martin, a lot of tourism there, obviously, as we're going to get into. But the fact that they were able to recover so quickly from a hurricane based on the help from the mainland France is definitely something that other islands who have been part of colonies of other empires have not been able to have that luxury or have that experience.
Yeah. No, and I mean, Jonathan and I both have the experience there as tourists. The interesting thing is like the major international airport on the island. Jonathan, I don't know, did you fly in or were you on a cruise
No,
ship?
I was on a cruise ship, so we ported in the on the French side is where the
Okay.
like the cruise ship terminal
Yeah.
is.
I flew down there, and basically the major international airport is on the Dutch side. So you fly into Princess Juliana if you're coming from internationally to
Wait,
go visit.
what cruise line did you do, Sleep?
Royal Caribbean.
Oh, interesting. Because I've done Royal Caribbean, and we docked on the Dutch side in Phillipsburg. So
Interesting. Yeah,
that's yeah,
we
it's
were on the
interesting they
we
have
docked on the
both.
French side.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that did you go onto the Dutch side at all, Jonathan?
No, we only stayed on the
Okay.
French side.
So I'm the only one with the experience of crossing
But
international borders there. And let me tell you, it is you blink and you miss it. So there's only a couple roads that actually go around the island where like you're crossing the border. And outside of the main ones, like there's no like fence or anything like that. When you are passing along the main roads, like there are monuments to say this is the French side, this is the Dutch side, just because that's where people are passing mostly. But like you just freely go back and forth, which is really interesting because obviously Dutch and French are two very different languages. But pretty much everybody speaks English and
Mhm.
your Creole language as well. It's like it's a very interesting dynamic that it's just like this kind of mix of cultures, the Caribbean, the French, the Dutch, and there's, I mean, let's be blunt, a lot of American tourists. So it's a very, I think the Dutch side is much more touristy than the French side. Um, I went into downtown Marigot and some wonderful shops, like very French. I haven't been to France, but I got a very French vibe. It's almost like going to Montreal, it felt like. Um, you could see like the influence there. Um,
So I know you've been to both,
yeah.
and you went as a tourist. So I'm going to ask this question, uh, not knowing the answer, but also knowing it's kind of in jest. The Dutch side, their main tourist thing that they give to the world is guava berry rum,
Mhm.
and it's very interesting flavor, but very very good. And if you've been there and you've tried it, it's very very good. Now, on the other side, and I know you've probably partaken on the tourism, the main tourist attraction to the Dutch island, right? I'm sure you tasted the guava berry rum.
So oddly enough, it's funny you mention it. I just cracked open. I had brought back a bottle with me, and that is like my memento when I travel. I get like a
Hmm.
shot glass and I get a bottle of rum. I got this rum view Colombier tradition. It's actually from the French side of the island, and let me tell you, for being it's I mean, rum view is old rum. It's not a specifically guava berry rum, but
Right.
let me tell you, this is a very fruity rum. Very interesting flavor. Um, yeah, sipping on it's like this is a little odd, but it's
So
good. It's good.
So you led me to my main point, which is something that Jonathan, I don't know if they told you this on the cruise ship, but they definitely
Mm.
told us this on ours. They said guava berry rum on the Dutch side of the island
Mm.
is the number one thing you need to do. And they said there might be rum on the French side, but it pales in
Mm.
comparison to the guava berry side. Now, the number one tourism industry on the north side, on the French side, are nude beaches. Did you go to the nude beaches, Smith?
I mean, so we went into Gallows Bay,
Uh-huh.
which is right there in Marigot. And I will say, while they were not fully nude, they were, I would say, like even just right there in town down there. I mean, they were
Topless.
a lot of topless beaches. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for, a bunch of high school kids, that was rad.
They made sure you knew, like, hey, the beach is beautiful. The beaches on the French side, beautiful. You are going to have to take off your clothes. Like, just factor that in mind if you bring your kids there. So a lot of people were like, we're gonna stick to the Dutch side because the Dutch side, I think there's a couple on Dutch side, but like it's way more prevalent on the north side of the island.
I see. I didn't know about the beaches thing. My experience in St. Martin and Marigot is I took a taxi from my hotel in on the Dutch side to Marigot to get to the port where you
Oh
could
yeah,
get on a ferry to go to Anguilla. So if
Oh, so that's where you were that's where you left to go to Anguilla.
yeah, so there is a ferry that goes multiple times a day. It's very inexpensive. I think it was like $20 US round trip, and it's about a 20-minute boat ride. Like it's wild how close the islands of Anguilla and St. Martin actually are. Um, really quick ride. Um, it was really funny. So the ferry that takes you back and forth, they had a TV on the lower deck. Some people sat up top, which crazy. I don't know why you would do that. Like you're buzzing through that bay, and there's no between the wind and all the water. Like it has to be miserable up there. So I went down below deck, and they had like all these benches and stuff, and they had a TV that was playing on loop a reggae concert. I have to find the name of the guy. But like on the way there and on the way back, it was the same exact like VHS tape playing um on this ferry from Marigot to the port in Anguilla. Um it's just a really interesting experience. And like, yeah, it's a 20-minute ride. You make it a day trip to Anguilla, but the port is right in downtown Marigot. So you basically get off the boat coming back and restaurants, shops, bars. There's like this very exquisite looking mall that's actually like pretty empty, but it was like very odd. Like I looked at it, it's like, all right, so this is where all rich people go shopping. And you walk in there and like half of the places aren't open. And like it's a very interesting vibe. But I would love to have more time to explore the French side next time I go down. Um, but it's really unique.
I've always said if I go back to the Dutch side, I would immediately go to the French side and spend time there. Just because I've while I love the Dutch side, it's been one of my favorites. I have not experienced the French side and would love to actually spend a day kind of doing some of the things that you did in spurts when you were traveling to Angola.
Yeah. Oh, the reggae artist, it was Lucky Dube. It was South
Lucky
African
Dube.
reggae. Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome. Like the vibe was just impeccable. Um, but yeah, Marigot, St. Martin, the French side. Really recommend. Um, I think we should talk about some soccer because
Sure.
this is kind of like a soccer podcast as well.
Is it though? Mhm.
This is a CONCACAF podcast. Soccer sometimes comes into play. Um, Jonathan, let's talk soccer. Like, what's the vibe of soccer in on the French side of Saint Martin?
So, talk a little bit about a couple things. So, Liga de Football de Saint Martin is the confederation. They were founded in 1986, and they got their CONCACAF affiliation as an associate member in 2002. It was 2013 when they got finalized. We got their full affiliation, and they didn't actually become a recognized regional league of French football until 2026. I know we've talked about this before, but with Saint Martin being a French subsidiary, basically, they can become a part of French football. They can participate in the Coupe de France that we've talked about. But then the other part of this too is so while the federation's only been around since 1986. They do have a 10-team league that's been going on since 1970. So 55 years. And one of the most interesting things about this is, we talk a lot about, with a lot of these different small island nations, like, oh, they have a league, but like there's been large spurts where they have changed or the league hasn't played, the league's changed. Like we talked about, Puerto Rico, there's been a couple different leagues that have started and stopped. But started in 1970, there's only been 2 seasons that they've missed in this entire time. So in the 2017-2018 season was not held due to the Irma and Marie storms. And then the 1920 season wasn't finished because of COVID. But every other year there has been a team, and it's actually pretty well stocked as far, or like, you can actually find information about who has won these leagues, whereas there's been a lot of times where we haven't been able to find league winners. So I just thought, while there's not maybe it's not a huge soccer community, I mean, we're talking 10 teams. That's it. There at least is, there is some tradition there when it comes to club soccer.
Yeah, it's good when you have that kind of infrastructure on the island. Um, so moving to the national teams, we'll start with the women's national team and essentially the lack thereof. Um, I don't. I did some digging. I don't know if Saint Martin, the French side, has actually ever fielded a women's national team. It looks like their federation does some women's soccer programming, but currently their women's national team is ranked 41st in CONCACAF as of March 2024, which is the last CONCACAF ranking on CONCACAF's website for the women.
Because of the Gold Cup.
Yeah, it's been 8 months, 9 months, and they still haven't updated it. So they're ranked 41 on 0 ranking points. So they are dead last. They are behind teams that we know also don't play. So like there's no setup on for this federation. So very disappointing. Hopefully that's their area of growth for the St. Martin soccer culture. Moving on to the men's national team. Again, St. Martin is an overseas department of France, so they are not an actual country. So FIFA does not allow them in. So they are one of the non-FIFA members of CONCACAF, much like the Dutch side of the island. They played their first competitive match in 1990, so it's still a relatively new national team. That was coming out of the 1990 Caribbean Cup. It's been hit or miss over the years whether or not they actually participate. They're actually as recently as 2014. They had played their first match since 2012. So the year of 2013, they just did not play at all. But thanks to CONCACAF Nations League, they're getting some regular game action. Um, St. Martin's national team, they were promoted to League B for the 2024-25 edition after winning Group A of League C in 23-24. That 23-24 campaign, they actually also could brag about having the top goal scorer of the CONCACAF Nations League campaign, Axel Raga, their star forward, who is born in France, but he's got Saint Martinois descent. He scored 8 goals in that Nations League campaign. The national team is coached by Stefan Ovray, who some MLS fans might remember that name. He played for Sporting Kansas City for a bit, played for the New York Red Bulls for a bit, and he also played for the Guadeloupe men's national team. His kid actually plays for Trinidad and Tobago, Kyle Ovray, who we've referenced on the podcast before. Also featured on that national team is Romuald Lacazette, who is cousins with Alexander Lacazette. Romuald he came up through the PSG youth program. He is currently playing for some team in Germany, which I am not even going to try to pronounce the name of. So yeah, they've not qualified for a Gold Cup yet. Nations League, there's, League B. Yeah, it's a tiny island nation. Their all-time leading goal scorer is, Axel Raga, who has a total of 10 caps. So it's like there's not a lot of history there. All right. So the Pelicans, as they are known, looking forward to what the future holds there, and hopefully we get a women's national team in there. I think we'll take a quick break, and then Donald, are you ready for a real team or fake team?
No. But we're going to do it anyway.
We're going to do it anyway. All right, we'll be right back. Okay. Real team or fake team? Everyone's favorite segment. Jonathan already going off screen for Donald.
I got a bad poker face.
You know what? As a show of solidarity, I will do the same exact thing.
All by myself.
Donald gets a sweat. For those of you who have forgotten or don't know, real team or fake team, we've got 6 team names. Now, being CONCACAF, there are many ridiculous team names. So ridiculous, you wonder if they're made up. Donald has to guess whether or not they are made up. So we've got 6 team names. Some of them are real, some might be fake. You don't know. And Donald's got to guess. So I am going to go first. Jonathan, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. The first team name we've got is Creole Stars.
Creole Stars. I will go. Fuck. I'll go real.
Creole Stars is a fake team. Damn. They don't exist that we know of. 0 for 1.
Yeah, that's a good one because I know they probably do like English and French and maybe even some Dutch. It's probably a lot of different languages used in these names.
Let's go Gallas Bay Stars.
Who?
Gallas Bay Stars.
Gallas Bay Stars?
Mm-hmm.
Spell Gallas Bay?
It is spelled Galisbay, like the port.
Well, I guess we'll just go real on that one too.
That is a fake team.
All these stars. No stars, huh? Okay. All right. All right. I've already had a 0, so I have no fear. So
United Stars.
y'all fucking me, huh? Okay. Real.
United Stars is a real team.
Okay, we got one, so
yes.
we're good.
Yes.
St. Louis Stars.
St. Louis Stars?
Yes.
Like St. Louis?
Hmm.
Also real.
Yes, that is a real team. They are also they've won the most titles. They have 20 titles to their name.
Wow. Wow.
Marigo Stars.
Is every team in this league named stars of some sort? Marigo Stars feels that's trippy. That eeny, meeny, miny, real. Real.
As a fake team.
So
Jeez.
one for four.
One for
Nice.
four.
So follow up. St. Louis, or not St. Louis Stars. I just said that one. Uh,
Real.
Wait, he's
Junior,
wait, he is 2 for 5. He's two for
two for
five.
five. Yeah. Two for four. Or yeah, 2 for 5. Sorry. Yeah. Junior Stars.
Junior Stars. This is the last one?
Yeah.
You guys did a whole series. Y'all fucking. Um, let's do Junior Stars feels so. I've said real in all of them. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll go real.
That is another real team. They have won the title 17 times, including they are they've won the last 5 leagues that have been held.
So y'all suck, by the way, to come up with 6 names, all of them with the word stars. And I didn't even get to ask, were they all Z's or S's?
They were all S's.
They're all S's.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a French island, they don't
Right,
got
right.
that Caribbean.
Yeah,
Sure.
they don't have they don't have that. There are 3 teams named like the real teams that have stars. There was one team that was real that I could not verify their existence any longer, and that was the Ja Rebels,
Hmm.
JAH. And the Orleans Attackers are also another good name.
That actually sounds too fake to be real. I'm sorry, too real to be fake. Like that Orleans definitely would like is something I'm like, okay, that I can understand. Someone probably came up with that at a bar somewhere.
I thought about messing with you and give going Orleans Stars
Oh,
over
I
Gallows.
would have definitely said that was real. Would have definitely
Yeah, I
said.
mhm.
You
and
still
I
went 3 for 6. 3 for 6 is solid because there was 3 out of 6 that were real. So
Yeah.
yeah, close enough. But yeah, no. Once we were going through the teams that we could verify, it's like holy shit, these are all named stars. Like let's just fucking make them all stars and see how he does.
Y'all plotted against me, and I would like to
and
note that I
also
didn't like it.
the junior stars logo, you got to go look at. It kind of
I'm gonna
looks
find it
like
right now.
it kind of looks like Peru and the like white and red slash, but then it has this really bad horse coming out of a soccer ball and it says "Let's go horsemen."
Oh my
This is
goodness.
amazing.
Saint Martin.
I,
It's so unbelievably good.
Which one do you look? Junior stars?
Junior stars.
Oh my goodness. It looks like a seahorse that's been cut off at the head and thrown on a soccer ball.
it's a soccer horse.
Let's go, horseman.
I'm just gonna post this on our fucking Blue Sky account. Just no context.
Mm.
Just let's go horsemen. Oh god,
Martinois, the top tier of Martinois football.
I love CONCACAF. See, you don't get this shit in Europe. you know.
Oh, junior stars, they've been wilding. No, they've been
Yeah,
winning.
no, they have been wilding.
They've got guys to play for the national team. It's a solid squad. So another wonderful edition of Real Team or Fake Team. Um, I think we can wrap up here. Make sure you follow us on our social media, on our Blue Sky. Look for the Junior Stars logo, just posted without any context. Um, and follow us. Subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/podcacaf. You will hear the exclusive One More Round bonus episode that we're about to record there, where we're going to talk more about Drums and St. Martin and stuff, and answer your questions. Donald, where can people find you?
I'm on Blue Sky at BlazingDW and also on Instagram, but mainly Blue Sky.
You can find me on Blue Sky at JSlape.
Yeah. You can find us at PodCacaf, POD on your Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and it's still on like the X Twitter thing. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in. Looking forward to another great year of the podcast and looking forward to another CONCACAF Nations League soon enough. We'll see you next time.